to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me. I'm Rob. We got it. Week 1 of football. Let's get some of those picks in.
Are you ready for some football? I've been ready since the Super Bowl.
I say we got the AFC rematch up on right now.
Yeah, we do. So, all y'all that are watching at home, just, pop us on, pop the game on mute, talk a little football, watch a little football. It's a good evening all around, guys. We got football all around at that point. So, yeah, I see the Chiefs just tied it up 2-7-7. So, let's get into the week 1 action, guys. So, for all y'all might be new to the channel, might not know what we do. Not the OGs that were on last year or the OGs that were on the year before, even at that point. Every single week, guys, we're going to go through our picks. We're going to give you guys who we think is going to win the game, who's going to be the spread pick at that point, and what's going to happen in the over-under. And each week, we'll give you literally every single game. We don't skip games. We don't week out like that. We do suggest maybe you not actually putting money on specific games sometimes, but we're always going to let you know our thoughts on it real quick there. So let's get right into it with tomorrow's night's game there, because we already did tonight's game, by the way. For all you might have missed it, I would say watch the previous episode where we talked about it, but by the time this is done, the game might be over or decided at that point where it's too late to bet on it. So let's get right into tomorrow's night's game there, and that's in Brazil.
Yes, Brazil.
The first game in Brazil, and wouldn't you know it, they picked the Packers at the Eagles, which is weird to say at the Eagles when they're in Brazil, but this is the ex-Giant Bowl. You got Xavier McKinney versus Saquon Barkley here.
Yeah.
That's basically what as far as I'm concerned as Giant fans, that's what it is. It's the ex-Giant Bowl. But it's interesting because this stadium, they won't let you wear a green uniform because apparently that's the color of their hated rival, the soccer team that plays there. So
I also heard it was a gang thing.
Is it a gang thing too? Yeah, I've heard all kinds of rumors, but they've said that point blank that they're not allowed to wear green, and they picked the only 2 green uniforms in the NFL to play there. Like, who thought of this? Who was the PR person for this? Like, is there not someone in Brazil working from the NFL that goes, wait a minute, guys, if you play the game here, they're not going to let you wear green. Maybe you shouldn't pick the Packers and the Eagles. Maybe pick 2 other teams, any team, but those
not from Green Bay.
Yeah. They want to let people from Greenland in the stadium. That's how bad it is. They're that strict about it. So let's get right into the game here. So you got Eagles and Packers. You got a 2.5 point spread there going against the Packers. They're the favorites in here. And you got 2.5 points spread against the Eagles. They're the favorites here. Even though it's technically a home game for them, but I kind of hate that when it's a home game.
Even though it's in another country.
Yeah, I kind of love it for the Eagles. I hate the Eagles, but I feel bad for other teams when that happens sometimes. 49 is the over-under in this game here. So, Rob, you were the champion last year. You get to take it away.
I am the champion. No time for Drew.
Whoa.
Because, week 1.
It's not like you sucked it up here. Let's be honest here. You make it seem like I was like horrible.
No. We're both above 50%. It was pretty solid.
Yeah,
we're damn near 60%.
Hey, we do. Playoffs was freaking really good too for us.
Yeah, dude.
Playoffs.
Playoffs.
Okay. Anyway, Eagles. Let's stop ADDing it up here.
Hey, listen, can't help it. It's the show. But
get into it.
But I am not going to go with the home team on this one. I'm going to go with the Packers to win this. I'm actually going to be a cheesehead for this game, full on out, because I think that the Eagles are working out some of the stuff, and the Packers they really showed who they were last year. They made some right moves in the offseason.
They got their red stuff.
They got the right stuff. Jordan Love just had a big contract signed. He's going to have to prove it worthwhile. And let's face it, too, you got Jason Kelce that's now no longer an Eagle. So how is that offensive line going to look when it didn't look that great last year to begin with in the second half? It started falling apart. So I'm taking the Packers. Taking the under in this as well.
Yeah. So you're going Packers under.
Correctamundo.
Guess what I'm doing? I'm agreeing with you, Packers under. Listen, guys, I always try to take the Giants fan them out. If I root for the Eagles or Cowboys if they're playing there, and I think they're going to win. But I'm going to say, if I'm putting money on it, this is who I'm betting on. I can't bet anything on the Eagles or think they have a chance of winning right now until they've proven they're not the Eagles of the second half last year.
Yeah, and they were a house of cards. Like everyone's like, oh, 11 wins, but you also guys didn't really win a game that second half. You got the 10 and you just fell apart.
These guys fell apart like a pair of jeans from Old Navy. I can't do it. So yeah, I'm agreeing with you 100%. We got Packers, and under here, both of us there. So next game up.
Next Monday.
We got a game that on paper doesn't seem that exciting. But I think this actually might be a decent matchup just because of how close the teams are there. And
I think so. There's a couple that's going on this week.
And that's the Steelers at the Falcons here. So we got the Steelers and the Dirty Bird there. And so we got the Falcons of the home team. They're a 3.5 point favorite there. You got 42 on the over-under. I'm taking it this time first, Rob, last time. So
that's it.
The Falcons, guys, are one of those teams that I really think is going to be a good team this year. And I would say out of the blue, but let's be honest, they shouldn't be out of the blue. They've been basically a 500 team with extremely mediocre quarterback play.
Well, that's very nice about it because mediocres.
I'm trying to put it nicely. Riddler was horrible. Even Taylor Heineke looked better when he was in DC than he did when he was in Atlanta. It just hasn't been good. And now they got Kirk Cousins, who is the king of playing
vanilla
above average. Like, he's not going to ever be an elite quarterback. He's an above average quarterback, though.
Yeah.
Until the postseason comes at least. But in the regular season, he is a really good quarterback that puts up some stats there. So I think that you'll see a really good Falcon team this year. And it sounds weird to say that, a really good Falcon team, but the division's up for grabs. The Saints are mediocre. The Bucks, even though they played better down the stretch last year, were pretty mediocre, let's be honest. The Panthers were the worst team in the league last year and didn't make any major splash moves. Unless their quarterback makes a huge jump, they're probably going to be one of the worst teams again. So the Falcons have a chance here to really do something in this division and take that divisional crown. And I think they'll end up possibly doing it. But they're going to start this week by beating the Steelers, who, from all reports, Russell Wilson has not looked good.
Neither has Fields.
And Fields has looked like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
They literally practiced a wide receiver, I heard one day. So, I mean, that's where we're at. So until I see, again, not saying excellent quarterback play, but at least mediocre. It's hard to get around bad quarterback play in this league. So if the Steelers aren't going to have a good quarterback, then I don't care how good a coach Tomlin is. I can't expect him to be above average team.
Well,
and I have a lot of respect for him as a coach, not necessarily as a person. I got some issues there with him, but as a coach, he's as good as it gets. I think Falcons win this game. I think they cover the spread, no problem at all. I actually have the over on the points because I think the Falcons are going to put up some points, guys. I really do. I think you're going to see Pitts in London all of a sudden being what people thought they'd be coming out of college and having a big year. I think this team's going to put up some points. Don't forget the double-headed monster they got, two with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, two at running back. Like, this is a team that's got some weapons, guys. It's not like they had nobody on offense. They just didn't have the one person they need, a quarterback. And now they have a quarterback. Granted, not my favorite quarterback, but a quarterback. And let's say hypothetically, if he stinks it up this year for whatever reason, gets injured again, they got one of my favorite draft picks there on the bench, even though I still think they did him dirty by drafting him. But they still 100%. Have him on the bench. So yeah, Falcons gonna have a big year, guys. I really do think so. And Falcons, I got winning this game and covering.
Yeah, I agree with a lot what you said, and you got to give respect where respect is due. Steelers always figure out how to be 500 or better. Like, it's amazing that Tomlin's done that his whole 10 years as Steeler coach. But I have the Falcons win this game. I do think they are going to be, I don't want to say an offense juggernaut, but they will be putting up points.
Yep.
Their defense is something you didn't bring up. They were a very solid defense last year. They weren't like top 3, but they were up there, and that's
top 10.
That's how they won games. They were slow playing the offense and let the defense rest up, and they just stop the ball. And low scoring games, very boring games they played last year. Well, now you got an offense that could put up some points and stop other teams. So I think they could win the division. They have a very strong case to win the division against maybe second place to the Bucs, but probably winning that division. They probably don't reach 10 wins. Like, that's kind of the cap over there.
I actually think that's where they're going to be. I think 10 wins is where they'll be. 10 and 7, I think is realistic.
Yeah, maybe 9 or 10 wins, which is fair to say. And I do think they cover this in this game, but I don't think the Steelers' offense has put it together yet and figured it out. And that
that'll be better down the stretch, probably.
Oh, yes, I agree. And Kirk Cousins also coming off that injury, so I don't think they're going to be that juggernaut an offense this game. So I went with the under, more so because I don't have faith in the Steelers to put up a lot of points in this game. So when you beat a team, 24-7, you're going to go the under. It's going to be the under.
You're expecting a full-on blowout. I should say, too, one thing I didn't mention.
I should have said I'm just saying like a low-scoring game.
One thing I didn't mention also, besides just the defense as a whole, which you're right. I mean, the defense was good, though I think they will miss Calais Campbell a little bit there. As old as he was a really good player for him last year. Raheem Morris should be mentioned as well as the new head coach there for the Falcons. I really think that that was a good coaching hire. He did a good job in Tampa Bay and started getting the ball rolling a little bit years ago, and they never gave him a full chance to shine. He was a interim head coach for the Falcons in the past, and then goes over to Sean McVay at that point. It's like this guy's. I'm telling you right now, this is a leader, and I don't think he's ever had the team with him around him to get him what you need to get to stay longevity wise in this league as a head coach. Like I said, he's got some talent here. This should be a good year for the Falcons. So, all right, next up. A game that I think some people on paper would say is going to be a blowout. I'm not so sure.
Nah.
I'm not so sure on that, but I do think that some people do think this could be a blowout here. So we got the Cardinals at the Bills, Rob, and you're up there. So take it away there. Cardinals at the Bills.
Taking it away. Listen, all you fantasy players out there, you all know that a lot of projections about Josh Allen this year is very high, and I agree. Some people even said that he's going to be a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes this year, stat-wise. Ballsy prediction. I don't know about that. You're talking about generational talent. Yeah. I mean, listen, Josh Allen's put up some numbers. He's done a very good job stat-wise. Great set Mahomes. But it's also Patrick Mahomes.
INTs. They matter. It's part of the stats.
You're not wrong. But the Cards have made a lot of good moves. Kyler Murray still hasn't proven himself to me to be that leader. We still talk about him playing Call of Duty on his Xbox. He still comes up. But they made some right moves on that offense. I'm not so sure on that defense. And when your number one running back is John Connor,
have you seen this boy?
I
have to hear that name. James Conner, isn't it though?
Yeah, James Conner.
Ron Connor.
Yeah.
The Dan Connor? Roseanne?
Yeah. Dan. But I'm taking the Bills to win this game. I'm taking the Cardinals to cover because they're giving up a lot of points at home. And this spot in NFL, that's kind of proven last year. This is the cuss line. taking the Cardinals to cover the cover, and I'm taking the over in this game.
So I'm sorry. Do you say
'Cause
Bills? Cardinals under?
Over. I think 48. If it was at like 54, I'd say under.
Okay.
But like you're talking like a 27-24 game, and you go right over that 47. 48.
See, there's just something about those Cardinals guys. There's just something about them, and it's like you look at it on paper, and their talent is not good. Let's be very frank. This is not a good team. That team was busting their hump playing hard for that coach last year. They beat some teams that they frankly had no right beating. Mostly teams in the NFC East, except us.
Yeah.
But they really did a number on some of these guys too. I mean, they're very well coached on the defensive side of the ball, which makes up for some of the lack of talent they have. Kyler Murray's back again. Another thing goes same category as Kirk Cousins. He's above average quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. Let's be honest. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. now there is a legit target here, assuming he is what people think he is. You know, I'll give him that assumption because it's so unanimous that he's going to be the
dude,
the receiver Jesus of the NFL, to use a Deadpool term here. Like that's like people are acting like he's already a Pro Bowler and an eventual Hall of Famer when he hasn't even snapped the ball once in the NFL. I hate when people do that, but people have a lot of confidence in him. So if he is what people think he is, that makes Kyler Murray look better. And I think that keeps it where they have just enough to go ahead and stay close. I'm with you. I think the Bills will win, but I think the Cardinals will keep it close and cover the spread. And I think that you'll see I do think under. Because like I said, I think this defense is just good enough. You got two defensive head coaches here. Just enough to go ahead and keep it close enough that it's going to be a little bit lower scoring than what some people might think on paper there. So so I got Bills Cardinals under.
Nice.
All right, next up, we got a game where we get to see two of the young quarterbacks in this league, including the first overall pick this year. The Titans at the Bears. The Bears.
The Bears.
Bears.
Geez, the Bears.
Oh, yes. So this is the matchup where inexperience may be the issue. Rookie quarterbacks in their first week don't tend to light it up, guys. But Caleb Williams is literally walking into probably the best receiving core a rookie quarterback has ever had. Between Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and why am I drawing a blank now? Rome Odunze. You got a triple threat here. You got a hydra here of receivers that is just unheard of, But you got to keep in mind that it's still a rookie quarterback. They still had mega offensive line issues on this team. And this is a team that's underperformed. Now, let's be honest, guys. Most Bear fans wanted the head coach gone last year.
Yeah, well, for us, no.
They really did. I mean, if you listen to people that are Bears fans, most of them wanted them gone. So I can't have faith in this team to do much of anything until they earn that faith. So the Titans, I'm picking them to win it. I'm picking them to cover, obviously, because the Bears are favored in this game here. And we got an over-under of 45, and I'm going to go under because you got two young quarterbacks. Will Levis only had a couple starts last year. He didn't have a full season of starting. It's almost like he's still in his rookie year. So you got basically, for all intents and purposes, a guy in this midway through his rookie year and a guy playing his first NFL game over. That is a recipe for a low-scoring game, guys. Unless Caleb Williams is as good as some people think he is and just blows out of the water. Remember, guys, even some of the greats, the Peyton Mannings and all, did not look good their rookie year.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm going Team Titans here.
Team Titans. And you said the under as well, right?
Yep.
So we agree about one thing. I agree with a lot of what you said there, but I also don't have faith in Tennessee. They took a big step back. They also lost their weapon. Their nuclear weapon is gone. and Derrick Henry. He's playing tonight right now.
Yeah.
So they put Cleve up to succeed. You're not wrong in saying that he's a rookie quarterback. They typically don't do well, but just like you said as well, Will Levis is still quote unquote in his rookie year, and offensive line that started to fail last year without their stud running back.
I should say, by the way, their stud running back you're talking about currently, as we're talking in this game, is 6 carries, 18 yards.
Well, yeah, that's besides the point. They're probably going to, like we said, I think Henry's going to fall off the ledge. I stayed away from in all 3 of my draft picks this year because I think those treads are running low. But I'm taking the Bears to win this game. They're going to cover. And I agree with you in the under because I think both these teams are going to start off low scoring, but I think the Bears are going to have the edge in this. And the Bears typically do start the year off fairly, I don't want to say good, decent, better than most teams suspect, and then they fall off the ledge later.
I think they just fall off the ledge to start and just continue falling usually.
And listen,
so one of the few teams we can say hasn't looked worse than the Giants in the last couple of years.
Listen, they like winning week 1 and surprising everyone. So
we'll see.
Don't be surprised.
Listen, nothing can surprise you with 2 young quarterbacks. Nothing can. If anything happens at all, I will knock him to go. I can't believe that didn't happen. It did happen.
Wait a minute.
Like crazy miraculous play kind of thing. Unless they have their own version of the helmet catch in that game. So, next up is one that talking about a David and Goliath kind of thing here.
Yeah.
You got the Patriots at the Bengals. And listen, guys, I'm going to say it, and I might get a little slack for this. I think the Bengals are going to potentially disappoint this year a little bit. They lost their offensive coordinator to the Titans. He's now their head coach over there. Joe Burrow's coming off of another injury. Is there anything left from that? You know, Chase is right now in the middle of a contract extension. Is there any issues with that? And is his mind off the field at this point? Is his mind trying to stay healthy? You know, it's just, I feel like there's like a couple of teams that have a window of their elite time period. And I'm starting to wonder if it's starting to close a little bit for the Bengals there. I'm just starting to wonder because you can't continue having success forever. Not unless you're the Patriots, apparently, up in the 2000s. But they had a pretty damn good run. But most teams, you get about a 5 to 7 year run. That's usually what you get in these kind of days, you know? Like, and then eventually you got to rebuild. And as long as you got Joe Burrow, let's be honest, you're never going to be a bad team.
No.
But this is going into year 5 for Joe Burrow now. So maybe I'm crazy, but I just feel like this team is headed on a path of not necessarily being a bad team, but taking a little bit of a step back this year from what they were. Obviously not last year because they didn't have Joe Burrow, but I mean what they were the last couple of years with a healthy Joe Burrow. But they're facing the Patriots. They're an 8-point favorite. And the Patriots are potentially the worst team in the entire league, guys. Jacoby Brissett's going to start for them. They have a lot of issues there, not a lot of weapons. They lost one of their biggest defensive stars. They just traded away right here before the season started. So, yeah, I'm going to say the Bengals. I'm going to say the Bengals cover. And I'm going to say the over-under of 41 is going to be an under because I just don't have any confidence in the Patriots putting up points.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong with a lot of what you said. I do disagree with you. I do think the Bengals will bounce back. I don't know if they will be the same team they were going to the Super Bowl, losing to the Rams caliber, but I think people forgot about how good Jamar Chase is. And I do think he's going to produce this year. I hear what you're saying. He's working out a contract extension, but at the same time, you got to produce if you want to get paid. And I think that man's going to produce because he's always open. He said it himself. Joe Burrow's going to throw to him because he's going to want to make sure he gets paid as well. So I do think that they'll have a bit of a bounce back from last year, which isn't saying much because Joe Burrow was out for most of the year and injured. But they also lost Mixon. They had some moves around and in the backfield. So I do take the Bengals to win, but that spread, that 8-point spread is killing me. And if you're watching patterns last year, that 6.5 starts when it gets a little crazy there. And granted, it's the first year without Bill Belichick being there. Usually the Pats don't get blown out. Especially, like, they're not traveling that far from New England, so it's not too crazy to say. It almost feels like a home game for them.
You say they're not traveling far from New England? It's like halfway across the country. Cincinnati, Ohio to Boston,
It's not that far.
That's far.
It's like a 2-hour flight.
It's still far.
It's not that far.
A 2-hour flight for me to go back to Jersey.
All right, so then you're looking at an hour flight. You're talking about Foxborough to... For me to fly from Newark to Cincinnati is like an hour and 15-minute flight.
Now you make me look up the flight zones and everything on this thing. So 2 hours and 20 minutes. 2.5.
Okay, so not that far.
So I'm saying it's farther than you think because it's the width thing, you know? Keep in mind Boston's higher up.
Gotcha. So I'm taking the Pats to actually cover this, but I'm also agreeing with the under because I don't think they're going to be putting up that many points. But you don't have to put up that many points. If you lose 10-17, you still cover.
Ooh, you're not taking much points at all for this Bengals team, huh?
I'll just threw it out there. It could be 27 to whatever. It could be 17-24, whatever it is. You lose by a touchdown, you still cover.
Yeah, like I said, you're right in the Mixon thing. Mixon's gone. He was kind of their workhorse back, for them. And, on top of that, Tyler Boyd is gone as well, who was one of their big receivers as well. I shouldn't say massive, but he was an important part of the offense still.
Yeah, big time.
They're definitely missing piece of this offense. So, like I said, I'm curious to see what happens with them. And again, I'm not saying they're going to be bad this year. I just think they're not going to be as good as they have been the last couple of years with a healthy Joe Burrow there. So, all right, let's get into the game that I think is going to be one of the most fun games here this week.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes just division rivals just make it fun right off the bat. Makes it close no matter what. And you got the Texans at the Colts here. And it's the Bulls versus the Horses.
Ooh.
Well, they got the bull in their helmet, the Texans.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it's going to be a fun game there. You got Texans are a 3-point favorite in this, even though they're the away team. You got a 48.5 over under. Take it away, Rob.
Yeah, this game should be fun. Look at the way, look, CJ Stroud. What else do you have to say? Like, the dudes play lights out. Tank Dell, fantastic. And they just made some right moves this offseason. They've been looking dominant this preseason. It's going to be a fun team to watch. But people don't forget about the Colts. Like, they started off slow last year. Like, we made fun of them 2 years ago because they had Saturday as the coach. But they came around last year, and they were right there in the playoff race. They were right there in almost a 3-way tie in that division. Like, it was a very fun race to the very end. And I do believe that's going to continue to go straight. But at the end of the day, it's the Texans. Like, they've been playing lights out football. And this is a game I really I wouldn't bet it if I was out there. If I had to put money on this game, I would just walk away. So I wouldn't put money on this game. But I'm taking the Texans win. And that 3-point, like, just being 3, I don't even want to touch this. Like, I almost want to tell you to push. But I'm probably, like, I wrote down Texans, but I could go Colts. But since I wrote down Texans, I'm going to have to say Texans cover this spread, obviously. If they're going to win, they're going to have to cover. And then I also took the under because I think these defenses are going to come out to play in a divisional rival.
Yeah. So I'm agree with a lot of what you're saying. Again, division rival is a big part of this. Where I agree with you. The defense will come there. I think they'll do some stuff there. I think it's a little more defensive minded game than some people do expect because of that, and it's just familiarity there. People want to talk about what the Texans did this offseason, mostly getting Stephon Diggs. That's the big thing people want to talk about. But let's talk about what the Colts did, guys. First off, Jonathan Taylor should be hopefully healthy this season. A healthy Jonathan Taylor is a huge addition compared to what it was
and utilized.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson coming back from injury and being healthy again. It's a big addition. You got obviously Pittman and Downs at your receiver position, and you add Adonai Mitchell as well. You got some weapons there. I'm not going to say they're elite weapons, but you got options. You got people to throw to. You throw in the fact that the offensive line, it's got some good people on there. This offense should be able to put up points, and it's just a matter of if the defense, at least for the season here, can do enough to keep them into it, because the offense is definitely better than the defense. You got to pick a side of that. Which one has more talent? The offense side of the ball definitely has it. But if Anthony Richardson is explosive as he was before he got hurt, he's one of those weird players you're going to look at and look at his numbers like he doesn't look that good in stat-wise. But he seemed to have, and again, it's a small sample size, he seemed to have that will to win with the Colts there last year. When it mattered, he made the play he got to make.
And his team followed behind him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if he's, like I said, if he plays like that for a whole season, the Colts could do some damage and shock some people there. So, like I said, I think Texans will still win it. They're a better roster. But I think the Colts, I'm putting them as the cover of the spread to have it be that close of a game. Mostly to hedge my bets, because I'm with you, Rob. I would not put a damn dime in this thing. This is just one of those teams I would not go near. But since we always do it, we don't chicken out here. I got like I said, I got the Texans to win, Colts to cover, and I have the under on the over under of 48.5.
I literally wrote push on my notes.
That's that. I'm with you. I wouldn't go near it. Let's talk about the Florida man battle.
Florida man.
As the Jaguars at the Dolphins there. And I rant on this every year. So I'm going to do my annual rant on this. I'm sorry. I have to do it, Rob. I have to. Oh, no, the Dolphins are coming. Oh, no. Like, can we get something like to change the name? I'm sorry. I can't. The Dolphins. I'm sorry. What the Pandas, was that name taken already?
I think so. The dodo birds.
Little kitty, was that name taken? Like, seriously. Dolphin is like this cute little animal. Like, that's not supposed to be a scary team at all. That's not supposed to be a scary team.
They mess up sharks, man.
Yeah.
They travel in pods.
Yeah.
Two different teams.
Well, actually, I've heard, and granted, I have never swam with dolphins, but I have heard they're a little rapey.
Oh, yeah. They're all about the game.
For the record, I said grapey, so we don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Grapey.
They eat grapes in bunches.
Yes. For some reason, that's the word that gets you in trouble in a lot of the content stuff. So, but anyway, let's get off the animal topics here. So you got the Dolphins are the home team here. They're a 3.5 point favorite. The over under on this is 49 points. I'm curious to see what the Dolphins do this year. I really am. I feel like this is a team that lost some talent. They lost some talent on the offensive line, especially. They lost some talent on the defensive side of the ball. But as long as you still have Tyreek Hill, as long as you still have Tua, who I still think is a good quarterback, I really do. I thought that even coming him when he was getting kind of beat up his first couple of years under Brian Flores, I still thought he was a good quarterback. I was complaining because they kept doing the back and forth to him and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm like, how are you going to build confidence in a kid when you can't want to leave him out there? Leave him out there.
Because Fitzmagic.
I get it, but I mean, So when you got a guy who's a good quarterback thrown to the cheat and the penguin there at that point with Waddle out there too, OBJ is going to come around eventually whenever he gets healthy, and it's a third receiver. It's probably not a bad role for him at this point in his career.
No,
you got decent running backs at that point there. The offense is going to put up
Mozart.
Well, Mostert's also very old, which is the one thing that scares me to say as far as him specifically too.
Well, HN's very young.
He's like, he's 30. He's 32.
Oh, to be 32. That's when it's all downhill.
The 30s when he started to die, but
that's 32. It's when I have back surgery. 32.
In the end, I'm not a believer in the Jaguars. I know there's some guys out there that still like, oh, Trevor Lawrence in the right system. Trevor Lawrence this, Trevor Lawrence that. I'm just not a Trevor Lawrence guy. I'm not. He's great for a per plus commercial, but like that's what he's there for.
Or
like,
Maybelline.
Yeah, but it's like
L'Oreal. Again,
you look at the stats. People have done it online laughingly, but it's not crazy. When you look at the stats comparing him to the DJ, it's not that crazy. Him and Daniel Jones actually have very similar numbers. The one thing is that Trevor Lawrence had that one good run at the end of 22 that really got people excited. He didn't look that great last year. He's always had weapons around him too, so it's not like that's the excuse. He's always had weapons. Like they've done right by him, and Doug Peterson the last couple of years has a head coach for him. He's an offensive-minded coach, so there's no excuses anymore. Like he's got to get it done. Now he's getting paid as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, guys, and he's just not that good. I think the Dolphins win. I think the Dolphins win by a good amount. So I got them covering the spread, no problem whatsoever. And I have the over because I think they're going to put up like 30 points, and that's going to be just enough right there where all you need is, an additional 20 points by the Jaguars, which is easy to put up against a not so good Dolphins team, especially when you're playing from behind and throwing the ball like crazy. So, yeah, this is Dolphins and over for me.
Yeah, Drew, when you hit the trifecta on that one, I'm not going to be mad because I'll be hitting it as well because I did the same thing. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think it's two high-power offenses with not so with a mediocre defenses on both sides. I also, very biasedly, I have Tyreek Hill in 2 of my 3 fantasy leagues, so I need him to have a 200-yard game himself.
He needs to keep affording all these kids he keeps having. How many kids is he up to now?
Yeah, geez.
My God,
that man's got no pull-out game.
He is like as bad as Antonio Cromartie. Oh my God.
Well, he's almost like Philip Rivers. Only Philip Rivers has one baby mama.
I said one baby mama. He just really just does the rhythm method, and the rhythm apparently is always not right.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I agree. It's going to be a blowout. Your total, standard total in this game is going to be the 49. That's
a blowout with both sides putting up points. I think that's the crazy part. This could be the highest scoring game of the week. Yeah,
it should be over under 59,
which is obviously the pundits will agree with that because I think it's tied for it's tied with the Eagles Packers game for the highest over under of this week. So, all right.
Yeah.
We have one more game here to go over before we get to the Giants game, guys.
Ooh.
One more game. And that's the Panthers at the Saints. The NFC South matchup nobody wanted. And yet here we are. And it's here. I'm not lying. I'm not.
No, we just spoke about how some divisional rival games are very exciting. We may not be really looking forward to, hence talking about Houston and Indianapolis playing each other. That should be a fun game.
You got the Panthers, who were the worst team in the NFL last year, who they made some moves. They brought some people on, don't get me wrong, but they didn't bring anybody big name on. They didn't even have their first round picks. They gave it up in the Young trade there, and Bryce Young's got to get better. He's got to get better, guys. And I don't know if he's got it in him. I did not like the pick when they made it, and I continue to not like the pick. He's just, like I said, he looks like somebody brought their kid to take your kid to work day. And I don't mean age-wise. He's just so tiny.
I was about to say, so little. He's a wee man.
And listen, I'm going to say this as a tall person myself, and I understand there's a tall person bias that I have because I'm a tall person myself. But I can say that I, as a tall person, enjoyed this in my own life. There is a certain amount. Besides that, there's a certain amount of respect that you automatically get when you're a bigger guy. There is automatically. Like, and I've seen it. People are like, oh, you're a big guy. And I'm not big, guys. Like, I'm not trying to front like that. I'm just tall. I have no muscle on me whatsoever. I have to worry about a good gust of wind taking me away. Like, I'm not big. I'm tall, but it does intimidate some people. And because of that, I get respect right off the bat from people I've never met before. But when you're smaller like him, the reverse effect happens. It becomes harder to be a leader. It becomes harder to be taken seriously when you're in a room full of massive people. Let's be honest, football players are not tiny in stature usually.
No.
So when you got a guy who's 5'10", 204 pounds, basically the size of a large corner, that's an issue. And I know it shouldn't be. I'm not suggesting it should be an issue, but I still think it is. I still think he's going to have trouble being a leader in this team. I still think that he can't be taken seriously because people are going to look at him like this tiny little kid trying to tell him around. And if you can't be a leader at the quarterback position, that's an issue. I'm being serious, though. Like, think about it. Think about if you're, say, a 26, 27-year-old guy who's 6'3", 240 pounds, let's say. And you have this guy, you got half a foot on him, a good 50 pounds on him, and he looks like he just got into high school.
He's barely shaving in the locker room. He's like,
I'm just saying, like I said, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I don't make the rules of psychology and the way people's minds work. It's just, I don't want to say science. It's not like I looked up studies about this kind of stuff. But it's just naturally how people react in these scenarios. Right or wrong. I don't make the rules. So I think the Panthers are in for another long year, guys. And the Saints are destined to have 7-9 as their record all over again. Like, this is a 7-9 team all day long. Like, they're not a horrible team. They're not a good team.
No,
but when you're not a horrible team and you face a horrible team, guess what happens? You tend to win. So
they downgraded at that quarterback position as well.
Yeah. So we got Saints are -4 in the game. You got a 41.5 point over under. And I'm sorry, Rob, I lost track. Is it you or me going first, even though I've kind of already ranted about this team?
I think we both kind of ranted about the team, but I'm pretty sure I am the first guy to go on this.
You go. I'm going to shut up. You go.
The Jaguars. But you are 100% right. These two teams combined will be lucky if they have more than 10 wins on the year.
Sorry, I said 7 wins for the Saints, and it's not good for the Panthers.
we were talking about some the Falcons may have 10 wins. Well, guess what? The bottom two of the division might have as many wins as the division winner. Mm-hmm. So, the Saints, and you're not wrong. They're not a terrible team. They got talent. A lot of it's good. Derek Carr, is Mr. Under Average these days, and he gets respect. He gets the respect of some of his players, which it goes a long way. But he just look like he was fighting off the stretcher to keep Winston out of the game, and now they don't have Winston anymore. The only guy that can throw the ball in that room, he's gone.
Well, they still have their quarterback / tight end / running back /
yeah. Listen, Hill's a great guy in fantasy. Every once in a while, you put him in a tight end spot and you steal a 40-point spot. It's great.
You never know. You never know.
But the Saints are going to have to win this game, and they don't have to win this game, but it's going to be a very lackluster game to watch them in. The fact that they gave them 41.5 points is kind of expect because it's week 1, but it should be closer to 36.5 points. And that's still, I would still probably pick the under in that game. And like the Saints are -4 at home, but like the Panthers might get in there, but I'm just gonna have to go with the Saints. Like I just don't think the Panthers can pull through. It's too much going on with not enough moves this offseason in the right direction. Like they made the moves, but like they kind of sold their farm. I guess they're looking to tank this year and hopefully get a new quarterback or a better pick next year. Make up for the loss of picks this year.
So, yeah, I got Saints under. I mean, enough said. We've kind of both ranted a little bit here on these guys here.
Yeah,
the Panthers are probably in for a rough season, and it'll be a nice win for us if we go to Germany. I'll put it at
that. Should be nice.
Alrighty, guys. Next up, we have the Vikings at the Giants. And I know y'all are interested in that. Andy already said Giants beat the Vikings this week. John said some nasty things in the chat message as usual. Danny said, "What's up, Joe? What's up, Danny?" Before we get into the Giants and Vikings game, let's add a little suspense here. Let's pay the bills first.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. So here it is. The Vikings at the Giants. Week 1 matchup for our New York Football Giants here, guys. And this is one that we have a chance in, guys. We have a chance.
The New York Giants.
Oh, yes. We have a chance, guys. Giants are an underdog in this at home, too. At home, they're an underdog. 1.5 point, guys. So it's not like it's a huge thing, but they're underdog. And the over-under is 41 points. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game. I don't want to talk too much about it here, guys. We already did our full preview episode last night there. If you haven't already, go to our page, go to the previous episode, learn all about that. We talked about DJ, Deontay Banks, Blake Neighbors, all the big names what we're watching out for in this game there. But guys, in the end, it boils down to I think the Vikings at full strength would be a challenge. The Vikings at current strength are not, at least shouldn't be a challenge. I would say are not, but they shouldn't be a challenge. And this is a game we should win. We should win it, I wouldn't say rather easily, but easily.
Yeah.
And I had the Giants winning. Obviously, the underdogs, so they cover the spread. And I have the under the points. I think it's going to be like that 17-14, 17-10 kind of game at that point. That's what I think. So I got us ready to go there at that point, way under. I think this is going to be a defensive matchup 100%.
Yeah, big time. It's almost like they didn't adjust this line really for JG being out, for what do you say, like defensive like stuff. I don't know how much defense the Minnesota's going to put up because they haven't really done a good job doing that, and they lost a lot of their defense this offseason, sadly. Well, we don't have to get into that. We talked about it last night.
The big one. It's gone. Yeah, gone.
And I guess maybe leaving the line where the Giants are the underdogs at home is respect to JJ, but what respect do you give him to? Because Sam Darnold is like, he's going to throw the ball? Like, I don't understand what they're thinking of here. Yeah, I took the Giants to win, the Giants to cover, and I took the under. I am 100% with you. Like, our team should win. Yep. Should be a nail biter, but it shouldn't be that much of a nail biter and a close score and under game. Like, I think the Giants, they may go down in one score right away or a field goal, but then come right back and just kind of take the lead and just coast the lead all the way through. And a defensive battle.
All right. All righty. We're into the 4 o'clock games, guys. We're in. We're getting there. We're almost done. Hold on tight.
Oh yeah.
First 4 o'clock game we got for you guys. The Raiders. In the first head coaching gig for Antonio Pierce, the former Giant, his first time as an actual head coach, not an interim head coach at that point. So, unfortunately, he just still doesn't have a quarterback, really. I mean, Pornstash, Gardner Minshew's there. But, yeah, I wish he was going to a better scenario. It's like, you got to root for the guy. Chargers are a 3-point favorite in this. And you got 40 points as the over-under, which is the lowest over-under this week. Rob, take it away.
Taken away. Like you said, Mr. Pierce takes over. Place, take me away. Yeah, this is another game that, guys, if I had the option not to bet or pick on this game, I probably wouldn't, because this is another division rival game. Raiders, they rallied around Antonio Pierce last year. The Chargers you didn't really get a good scope on who they were as an actual team because all these different injuries. So a lot of moves in the offseason of players in, players out. There's a reason why it is the lowest over-under of the week, pretty much. It's probably going to be a low-scoring, I don't want to say defensive game because they don't have really good defense on either side of the ball. I mean, granted, you got Max on the Raiders who's, lights out. But I'm taking the Chargers to win this game at home. I would almost, once again, go with the push because it's a 3-point spread. But I took the Chargers to cover the spread, and I took the under as well. Because I think it's going to be one of those lackluster games that are going to go back and forth. I could also be wrong, and it could be a complete blowout, and the Chargers still win, but let's go with the under in this one.
This is one of those games that I think it's very hard to call. I'm 100% with you because you got the biggest issue is you don't know what the Chargers are. So the Chargers got rid of all their big name receivers, basically. They got Quentin Johnston, last year's first-round pick at a TCU, who did not look good last year. They got Ladd McConkey out of Georgia this year in the draft, who we liked as a slot receiver kind of guy, but you're going to ask either McConkey or Johnston now to be your number one receiver. Neither one of those are at that point right now, and neither one of them are guaranteed to eventually go to that kind of point and be a number one receiver. They brought in Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator who was with John Harbaugh over in Baltimore. And you know what kind of offense he runs? Run. Run
away.
I think you're to see a good amount of running. He even brought in J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, the former Ravens running back duo that already know his run scheme and everything. This is a team that wants to run the ball. That's what they're going to look to do. And you got top quarterback, for some people think, in this league. I'm still not 100% sold on Justin Herbert until he actually wins a meaningful game and has that signature win. But I think what's going on now is you're going to see more of a running team than you have in the past. You're going to see a much better coach team than you have in the past. We've complained about the coaching of the Chargers for how many years now when it comes to in-game decisions and all. This is going to be a different team, guys. And I think this is actually going to help Justin Herbert because some of the pressure is going to be taken off of him in this kind of offense. And if the offensive line holds up we got Rashawn Slater, who's just been a very good tackle. They got Joe Alt at the right tackle spot, who was their first round pick. You got Zion Johnson, who was a very good pickup as well. They put some draft capital in this offensive line. If this offensive line comes together, this offense is going to be a decent offense. It's just a matter of, when I say decent, it's going to be the offense that dinks and dunks when passing game, runs the ball, does the controls of time possession, keeps the defense off the field a lot more. Like, that's the kind of offense you're going to see, which sounds weird because that's not the way the Chargers have been lately, guys. This is a whole new Chargers. This ain't your mama's Chargers. The Chargers, I have to win this game. I have them to cover, and I have the under on the points. And I think the under in a Chargers game is going to be a theme this season until the rest of the NFL figures out that they're going to be a running team that controls the clock. And I think they're already thinking that. And I think that's why they got that 40-point spread. Because over under, I should say, because they know what's happening here.
Yeah. 100%.
All righty. We got another West Coast matchup here.
Let's ride.
The battle of the former Russell Wilson teams, the Broncos at the Seahawks. Oh, God.
They got a celebration of lack of Russell on their teams.
They both jettisoned him off the team there, that's for sure. You got Seahawks are a 6-point favorite in this game. You got a 42-point over-under. And, guys, I think the biggest issue right now is going to be Denver's offense, specifically their quarterback play. When you start a rookie quarterback, that doesn't typically go very well for you for a little bit. There's growing pains. Bo Nix is a guy that a lot of people had a second-round grade on, and he's also one of the oldest rookies to come out of the draft. He's about ready to get his ARP card right there with Michael Penix there. So, 24 years old, gonna turn 25, and at the end of the season there, right at the end, right after a couple weeks after the Super Bowl. So, I mean, this is a guy that's not coming in as this 21-year-old guy that you're going to mold. He's already got some mold on him because he's been playing in college.
Got the good one. Got the good mold.
And before last year, you wouldn't have thought this is a guy who was going to go ahead and do be a first-round pick, be a guy who could start in the NFL, but he's getting a shot. If they do what Oregon did with him, which was a smart system they did with him, you're going to see a lot of screenplays, yak opportunities, slants, passes to the running back. That's what you're going to see. You're not going to see deep balls down the field. That's not Bo Nix's specialty. And that gives you pause in the NFL sometimes. That doesn't work, especially when, not that Geno Smith is a great quarterback, but you're going against a very good duo of wide receivers there in Seattle. You can even say a trio, depending on what you think.
Let's talk about trio.
Majigma. We like him. He just hasn't got a lot of chance to show what he can do yet. So, but you got the Seahawks with a brand new head coach too, and a defensive-minded head coach. So there's definitely some question marks on what's going to happen in this game. This is a game that I wouldn't go near as well because there's so much changeover on both teams. But since we don't chicken out, I'm going to say the Seahawks win, the Seahawks cover. I'm going to say under on the points, mostly because I don't think Denver is going to put much up, if any.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said there. The only stigma I have to what you said is the Seahawks, DJ Metcalf came out some point within the past week saying that he might be a little upset if they run the offense the way they've talked about running the offense, which would be a run-first offense, which means the defensive mind coach wants to slow down the clock, wants to run the clock, and not be as high scoring. Because let's face it, DK has been electrifying. You give him the ball deep down the field. Same thing with Lockett, and you could say the same thing with JSM. All three of them could get down the field, get open, and they want to take that. I guess I would handicap that, if you will, and have them run the ball first over passing the ball. Which let's hope that's not the case, because I also have DK in one of my fantasies. That's put all the fantasies. 3 this year. 3. But I am taking the Seahawks to win this game. They're the better team all around. But I'm also going to take the Broncos to cover in this, just because of how I think how they're going to play this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, slow-moving game, and I also put the under.
Alrighty. We're off to 4:25 games. I don't know why they have games starting at 4:25. Just start them all at 4. Stop.
Game of the week. You can notice too.
You got the Cowboys at the Broncos. And guys, we got one of my least favorite players in the league, if not my least favorite, going against my top 2 least favorite teams in the NFL. I don't know who to root for. But yeah, Rob, take it away. You're up.
Take it away. Yeah, so I agree with you. Listen, both teams looked good last year. The Browns cycled through quarterbacks till they settled on Flacco, where's he at now? Indianapolis? Who's he back on?
Yeah, he's Indy's backup now.
Yeah. The Cowboys, they lost Dan Quinn. They lost that defensive mind, DC, that obviously he's defensive mind, but DC over there. Can McCarthy still make him 12-5 this year? I don't know. Hard to say. Browns have one of the top rated defenses in this league as of right now. One of the best defensive players. Say what you want about Deshaun Watson. He's, terrible person, and it looks like he's got some rust on his shoulder, but he's also got a lot of talent around him to throw that ball to. A good offensive line. And some solid running back play. I think the Browns are going to win this game. I'm also taking the Browns to cover because that's like near nothing as a spread. I'm taking the over in this pick because as much as I think the defenses are going to show up, I think the offenses are going to show up a little bit more. More or less on the Brown side than the Cowboys because F you, Dak. Dak and CD could put up some points.
And you're right by mentioning the Dan Quinn thing. That's a huge thing. I think people are under evaluating what's going on. Don Zimmer is obviously not Zimmer. Don Zimmer. Mike Zimmer is a good defensive coordinator. He is. But his time may have passed. It's been a little while since he's been in this league, and things do change. He's been out for the last couple of years there as far as being a DC. And they lost a lot of players in this defense, guys. This is not the same defense at all. Like, people are acting like, oh, they just lost Dan Quinn. That's it. They'll be fine. No. And they replaced him with a guy who hasn't been in the NFL since 21.
Yeah.
You lose a couple of years in the NFL, things do change. And they did gain, obviously, back Trayvon Diggs, which people will talk about that. But they lost Tyron Smith to the Jets, Tony Pollard to the Titans, Dorrance Armstrong to the Commanders, Tyler Biotish to the Commanders, Dante Fowler to the Commanders. You use the Commander thing here.
Yeah.
Jonathan Jenkins, Seahawks. They've lost a lot of guys. And they lost some offensive line and defense, which was their strengths. And they replaced Tony Pollard with Ezekiel Elliott.
That's what I say. Don't forget that Elliott came back.
Dalvin Cook. That's what they got now. Guys that are has-beens in the running back position. And I think they're thinking they can just throw anybody they want in that backfield and they'll be fine because of that running offensive line there. But when you lost Tyron Smith and Tyler Biotish, is it the same line, guys?
Yeah.
It's not. And it's not to say it's going to be a bad offensive line. I'm not trying to go that negative. Again, I try to take the Giant fandom out of this. But there's question marks in that line, it's safe to say, because it's going to be a different line than what it's been. So, we'll see what happens with them, but I think the Cowboys take a step back this year, potentially. And this game might be that start. I got the Browns to win it. I think they're going to cover the spread even because they're only 2.5 point favorite. That's pretty easy to cover. I have the over on the points even at 41. I think there's going to be some rust and some issues with this defense to start. It's a matter of can Zimmer go ahead and batten down the hatches before the season gets out of hand. I don't think this is the week he does it.
Nope.
And that's against us. Let's be honest, an offense for the Browns that's not great, guys. It's really not that great an offense overall. Yes, they got weapons on offense, but they still got Deshaun Watson at quarterback, who hasn't looked the same since he's put on a Browns uniform. To be honest with that, he just hasn't. Taking away all the
color
from them personally, he just doesn't, But you got Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy now this offseason, David Njoku. Like, he's got guys to throw to. And if he doesn't look good or if he gets hurt again, Jameis Winston's right behind there, ready to throw touchdowns and interceptions in a flurry.
He's going to throw whatever he wants to anyone he wants to. Well, not what he wants to, but he'll throw it to anyone for a score.
But let's be honest, guys. The big thing with this team is the defense. The Browns had a really good defense, and they're one of the best corner duos in the entire league last year, guys. I think to me they're gonna do what they got to do to get this done. They're gonna put up just enough points to get it done, and they're not gonna win by a ton. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's gonna be an absolute blowout, but they win by a touchdown. I think.
Yeah, 2.5's nothing.
Yeah, and 41 points is nothing. You can win 28-21. You're already over that. And that's a reasonable goal, I think. A reasonable prediction, I think, for that kind of game. So,
even 24-21, you still go in the over and you still get the spread.
Exactly. All righty. Next up here, another rival of ours from our division, but kind of like the little brother. The Washington Commanders go to Tampa to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And guys, this is a game that will probably have the lowest viewership of all the 4 o'clock games. Maybe it'll be It's unless you live in DC or Tampa, you probably won't find this game very exciting. Tampa is a 3.5 point favorite. You got 43.5 on the over under. Rob, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? You got the Buccaneers who just barely won that division last year, hosting the Commanders, who let's face it, they put a fire sale on everyone pretty much last year and redid the whole staff. So who knows what we're getting out of the DC this year? All new management, all new upper management, lower management, like it all around, like new team. So it's hard to just say they're going to be the Commanders of the past decade who are just making terrible choices because they got Daniels. Like they got, obviously our pick for the number 1 quarterback come out of this draft.
Yeah.
But he also has not played in the NFL at all, and that's just speculation. So I'm taking the Bucs to win this game at home. I do think it's going to be a very low-scoring, boring game, and I did take the DC Commanders to cover the spread in this game. Because I do think it's going to be a close, win by 3 kind of game. And I also took the over just because 43.5 is low, but I mean, yeah, it's not going to take much. This is one of those games where I almost went with the under, but I wound up going with the over because I do think they'll have enough offense to figure some of this out. Because Baker Mayfield is he's one of those quarterbacks that starts off strong every year, usually fades off, but he came back last year, so I can't talk too much. And I don't think the defense is going to step up this right away, which they typically don't do for the Bucs the past few years. So DC has an opportunity to put up some points, but not enough to win the game.
Yeah, and I think Washington is going to be one of those teams that, as the season progresses, I think they'll get better. But I think getting them in week one is a score. If you got to play them, you want to play them early. By the way, who's their week 2 opponent? Oh yeah, it's us.
Score.
Look at what they did. Like you said, they just cleaned house, guys. They cleaned house. And they were still cleaning out house because they already made a trade just like a week ago getting Dotson out there to the Eagles, who acted like they all of a sudden just got Jerry Rice when they got him all of a sudden for some reason. But, you got a team here that's got Terry McLaurin and Scary Terry to throw to. They got a decent tight end room with Zach Ertz and Ben Sinnott, the rookie tight end there. But guys, the receiver group is lacking. And they it's a totally different group than it was last year, but it's lacking. Unless they're counting on Luke McCaffrey, the brother of Christian McCaffrey, son of Ed McCaffrey, to all of a sudden do something special. That's going to be something they got to figure out how to get around. But they got Brian Robinson Jr. at the running back. They got Austin Eckler this offseason. Like they made a lot of changes, guys. And I think some stuff might gel towards the end of this year, where they maybe go on a little bit of run to end this year. But early on, guys, it's going to take some time for this to gel. That's a lot of change they made this offseason. And they had to. I'm not saying it's the wrong move. They had to.
They kind of remind me when the WCW gets started. And it's, before they got bought up by the WWF. Like, and the old school wrestling fans out there, they just picked up all. What you gonna do when we pick up all the has-beens that's gonna do right by you, and then get bought right back out? Yeah.
You gotta snap into a Washington.
Yeah. Get the right mugs.
But I got Tampa to win this. I got Tampa to cover. And I have over on the points because I think there's going to be some growing pains for a first week with this team together like that. Like I said, this will probably be by week 17. Watch like a completely different team that does week 1.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And they're gonna start blending together at that point and getting everything rolling. I think at that point there. So I'm glad to play them at least once early. I think the second time was like midway through the season, so hopefully we'll avoid the improved Commanders at that point there. Because if Jane Daniels is as good as I think he is, oof, that's going to be a bad day for us. As long as they don't, RG3 him. We got 2 more games to go, guys. 2 more games. We got the night games here. Got to start off with the Rams at the Lions, a battle of the playoff game last year. The battle of Goff versus Matt Stafford, and revisiting of that trade from a few years ago. That again, both teams I won. I think it's safe to say both teams won.
Yeah, revenge game for both.
Yes. So Lions are a 3.5 point favorite. 51 is the over under on this. No respect for the defenses on either side of the ball. And I think a lot of that probably is the fact that guys are a little concerned what's going to happen with his defense. Losing Raheem Morris, who was a defensive mind that coaching staff last year before he went to Atlanta to be their head coach this year, but also obviously losing Aaron Donald. You lose who many think is the greatest defensive tackle to ever play the game. It's going to be a drop. It's going to be a drop. But let's be honest, guys. Donald was not Donald last year.
No.
I don't know if his heart wasn't in it and he was still just. I'm not saying he wasn't trying, but I just get tired. I wonder if that's what it is. He's been talking about retiring for a couple of years, or maybe you just slowing down. I don't know. So I don't think it's as massive a loss as it seems. It's a big loss. Don't get me wrong. You still lost a future Hall of Famer. It's just not like you lost prime future Hall of Famer. That being said, I still think the Lions are one of those teams who do really good this year. As if they can build on what they did last year. They went from non-playoff team to NFC Championship team. I mean, that's going from not the playoffs to the NFC Championship. That's a jump. That's a nice jump.
Yeah.
And fair warning, Lions fans, you won't make it back this year. I just don't see that. I'm not sure who's gonna be up there besides probably the 49ers again. But I just don't. I think that they're gonna be a good team. Next year will be their year. Just the vibe I get. It's just a feeling. There's no info behind that one. Just the vibe I get. We'll see if I'm right. The vibes are right. That tonight's gonna be a good night. But maybe start doing Black Eyed Peas. So yeah, Lions, and I got under on that, guys, because I just think that's a huge spread at that point. I just can't see it. I think that the games that you think are the blowouts and the big high scoring games usually aren't.
Yes, I mean, Vegas is really good at honeypotting people into making the picks where they think it's going to be blowouts.
Yeah. So, like I said, I got Lions under. Who you got?
I do think the Lions are going to win this game. I do think that they are not going to do as well as they did last year, just because there's a lot more talent in the NFC this year that can knock them out. And let's just look across that bay over there. Like Green Bay is going to come out strong as well, I think, this year. They made some right moves. They're a young team, division rivals. Just that division itself is going to it's going to ramp up. Granted, the Vikings kind of definitely took 17 steps backwards.
Yep.
That division, but they also going to predict all that. But you're right. They probably don't go back to the NFC championships this year.
It's hard to do that back-to-back years. It really is.
Yeah, and especially just a flip of the switch like that. That being said, the Rams are still a good team, so I'm taking the Lions to win this game, but I'm taking the Rams to cover in a close game, fringe game, and I also took the over in this. I think it's going to be a little bit of back and forth.
Got a high scoring action going on, huh?
Yep, a field goal at the end to win the game.
All righty. One more game, guys.
Monday night.
It's
Woo!
Monday
night.
As our crosstown rivals, the Jets. I just say crosstown, but they play in the same damn place.
Yeah.
The Jets at the 49ers. I feel like that's a phrase maybe we shouldn't use with the Jets and Giants, but it's like I always said that way when it's like two teams that play in the same team, same city like that. But we don't want to play in the same city. We used to play in the same goddamn stadium. And I gotta say, is it the Jets? Are they just week one cursed? I mean, week one last year they lose Aaron Rodgers for the year. Week one this year they go against the second best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Is this not going to be Aaron Rodgers coming out with the flag flying at that point, a celebration like it was last year? Obviously, the celebration didn't last long, but it was still a celebration of sorts to start.
Poor man's going to get sacked and tear his other Achilles heel.
So yeah, we got Lions. 49ers are a 4.5 point favorite. You got a 43.5 spread there. Take it away, Rob.
Yeah, this is like you said, it's a cruel joke. And granted, both these offenses are supposed to be pretty damn good on paper. You got Garrett Wilson, catch the ball from Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers is also like my grandfather's age, throwing the ball still. So to these young guys, and who knows what happens? He's coming. yeah, damn hooligans.
Every time he plays a grass field, he says it.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be real. He's coming off this very serious injury, and
by the way, same injury Kirk Cousins is coming off of, but nobody talks about that.
Yeah, which is funny. But I mean, he said that he was going to come back last year because everything was going well, but he was honey dicking everyone back coming back. So who knows? But what the Jets are really good defense. They were top tier last year, and not a lot of people talked about that. They also have Breece Hall, which is the second best running back probably in this league right now.
Whoa, that's a ballsy statement.
Probably the second best. And who's number one?
McCaffrey.
Who's number one? McCaffrey, who's going to be on the other side of the field. And week one, 100% healthy, going at Brock Purdy, still high-powered. Great offensive lines on on that side of the ball. So I expect more of a defensive.
One side has a good offensive line.
Yeah. I expect a very, very good defensive game because, granted, both these offenses are high-powered, but arguably the best defense in the league is the Niners. But, Jets weren't far back rated off the Niners. So I'm taking the Niners to win this game, but I am actually taking the Jets to cover this and a low-scoring under game.
Ooh. So there's something about this game that makes me think this is going to be one of those deflating losses for the Jets. We don't know what kind of Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. He's 40 years old now, 39 years old?
I think he's 40.
I mean
39 turned 40, I think. Right?
And it's the second time I mentioned this guy in this podcast today, but I'm gonna bring him up, and that's Peyton Manning. he's the classic example of once time hits you and wins, time hits you and it wins. And yeah, he is 40 years old. I did just verify it real quick. In fact, he's almost 41. It'll be 41 December.
Oh.
So, listen, guys, there's not a lot of people that play that old. Like, and I know it's
not everyone's Tom Brady.
Yeah, like I think that's the problem is we've gotten so used to Tom Brady being 46 years old somehow and still playing.
47, still chucking the ball down the field like it's something.
Like that's not normal, guys. The fact that he's 40 years old and playing still is ridiculous. Now, granted, he doesn't have the same amount of hits as the 40-year-old quarterbacks usually do because he played for a few years behind Brett Favre. And what I mean by played, I mean he sat on the bench and drank some Gatorade. But, I mean, he still has some miles on him. Coming off a massive injury. I'm just not so sure he's going to be the same Aaron Rodgers. I'm not. And I know I'm not the only one, but I know there's other people I talk to that aren't being very loud about it because they don't want to look like idiots. They look like sometimes you get that in this business. Like people don't want to they don't want to stick their neck out and make comments because they're afraid it's going to look stupid. I think it's nothing crazy to suggest. I'm not saying he's going to be, but to suggest there should be cause for concern that people are just assuming Aaron Rodgers comes back and is old Aaron Rodgers again.
Yeah.
Like that's a little bit presumptuous. So, not to mention the fact they didn't spend training camp really with the full of the team, at least the voluntary camp. He was over in Europe or Egypt or somewhere. I forget where he was traveling. Like he's still old Egypt. Aaron Rodgers. Like he just doesn't care enough to be a true leader. Well, you just happened to schedule your trip to Egypt while you were, supposed to have voluntary. Oops, I forgot to check my schedule. Like, stop. Just say it. I don't want to go. Just say it. I don't want to go. I would have had more respect for that. So,
whoops, Daisy. And listen, his step back is still probably better than Kirk Cousins.
I just think that he's not going to be the old Aaron Rodgers. He'll still be an above-average quarterback in this league and a legit quarterback and a huge upgrade over Zach Wilson last year. And a huge upgrade from Sam Darnold prior to him. But I just don't think he's going to be as good as Jets fans are hoping. And honestly, I feel bad for y'all if I'm right on this, if I'm right. Because I actually have respect for Jets fans because they've been so horrible for so long.
The Joe Namath curse comes back to strike again.
Yeah, and there's still loyal fans. I'm not talking about the ones that come out of the closet and put their Jets jacket on the second they start winning. I'm talking about the people that are fighting year in, year out with this team. There's legit Jets fans out there, and I got respect for them. I do.
The true alcoholics out there.
Exactly. I got Niners. I got Niners covering the spread, and I actually have over on the points. I don't think it's going to be way over. Don't get me wrong. But I think this is going to be one of those 21 to 27 kind of games. It's not hard to go over at that point there. And it's just too much weapons on each offense. Even though both defenses are good, there's too much weapons on both offenses as well. And that kind of averages some of that out. Makes it, in my head, going to be an average scoring game.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All righty, guys. That's the end.
That's a wrap
today. So, week 1, guys, let us know in the comments what you guys think. I'm curious. Are we crazy for any of our picks there? Do you agree with any of them? Throw your pick list out there if you want. We're curious to see what everybody else thinks as well.
We will keep a tally for us again.
We will next week. We will start the episode off by giving you guys the results of this week and what we did. So we will keep you guys up to date, and I will make sure that we keep it going too. I won't let Rob drop the ball. He did the first year. Oh yes, I'm calling you out again, and we'll find out exactly how we're at there, percentage wise, total wise, all that kind of fun stuff week to week.
You blame me even though you deleted my notes, jerk.
Because you waited until the next week and you still hadn't written down the thing on your sheet. I thought you did. You had a week to do it. Lazy bum.
This guy's a jerk.
Anyway, we'll be back again for you guys Sunday post-game for the post-game show, going over everything and the hopeful giant win there against the Vikings. So as soon as the game's over, pop on right onto our channel, and there we will be. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button there. Appreciate if you share it to a friend as well. We suck at marketing, guys. We count on you guys to help. That would point blank do. Feel bad for us. You should. We're pitiful.
That's why. Yeah.
So,
Feel better than
we're
Fred
always
show.
live, of course, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite,
Yours LinkedIn.
my LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, Amazon, all the fun ones there. So like us on there as well. Some people just like to listen to stuff on the way home. They're sitting in traffic, whatever. You know, we're here for you. Not there physically in the car with you, but we're in the speaker boxes.
Yeah, I mean,
and
you might be. He's a little creep, but
I am a little creepy. It's okay. Anyway, appreciate you guys for watching. As always, enjoy this opening weekend here of the NFL. As we're doing this now, by the way, if anybody's about to turn the game on, if they were nice enough to turn it off and watch us specifically, Chiefs are up by a field goal right now, 13-10. So that's a nice, fun, close game. So that's what I'll be watching in a minute. So appreciate you guys for watching in as always. And as always, Giant fans.
go
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.